Professor Ralph, Dr. Amr, Dr. Mughir. It's time for discussion. It will be a short discussion, and I think 3 or 4 questions will be more than enough. Professor Ralph. At the end of the discussion, Professor Ralph will distribute with Nancy some memoric gifts for our lectures. So, first question is جدا من الاول قبل ما تيجي بدي عشان نحضر معها. تفضل.
شكرا دكتور. دكتور رفعت، انا بعتقد اللي اثار موضوع الفاتي ليفر هم اطباء الاشعه.
مش معقول؟
لا. وانا بدي الفت النظر انه هذا سبجكتيف كثير. طبعا انت حكيت عن نسبه 40 ل 50%، احنا بنشوف نسبه اعلى بكثير. طبعا بجوز له علاقه بالمنطقه، بس يعني حتى زملاء بيحكوا لي انهم كل مريض بيعملوا له الترا ساوند بيكتبوا عنه فاتي ليفر. فهو بالتاكيد سبجكتيف. وانا كمان مره بدي الفت النظر انه له علاقه بالسيتنج تاع الماشين. انتوا كيف يعني بتعتمدوا الدايجنوزز فاتي ليفر؟ احنا في عندنا جريدنج 1 2 3، جريد 1 برايتنس، جريد 2 هيزلنس اوف ذا فيزلز اند ديافراغم، جريد 3 بتبطل تشوف شيء. فيعني انت بتعرف انه هذا فعلا فاتي ليفر وبتبدا العلاج. هذا اختصر.
شكرا. ثانك يو. بليز شورت انسر.
اوكي. عمليا في عندنا اليوم نون انفيزيف تولز تو اسس ستياتوزيس، فايبروزيس، مثل فايبروسكان، الاستوغرافي اللي هي اكثر خلينا نسميها سبيسيفيك. يعني كمان الامكانيات انه نفحص فحوصات الدم، نحطها فورموليشن فيب 4 وناخذ سكور اللي بتقدر تنطيك السيفيريتي تاعت المريض. العلاج طبعا الباك بون هو الكوركشن لايف ستايل، والفارماكو تريتمنت اكشولي لازم تبلش بالمرضى اللي هن significant fibrosis S2 او low fibrosis مع risk factors for progression.
And I would like to ask regarding diabetic retinopathy in pregnancy, because it was not commented on from our colleague, the other one who talked about gestational diabetes. Diabetic retinopathy in pregnancy.
Basically, patients need to be screened for diabetic retinopathy even before getting into pregnancy. But depending on the rate of progression and the control of their diabetes during pregnancy, we have to decide on routine periodic visits also throughout the period of pregnancy, depending on whether the other risk factors, diabetes, lipid profile, and hypertension are controlled also during this period, and depending on whether we see some signs of diabetic retinopathy and the severity of the signs. So if there are signs of proliferative diabetic retinopathy, these have to be treated really very timely and promptly in order to prevent complications.
Thank you. Dr. Amir.
Thank you. I would like to ask about the use of SGL2 inhibitors in decompensated liver cirrhosis. Is there a benefit regarding the ascites, peripheral edema? Is there a risk for development of the hepatorenal syndrome?
Well, actually, I can start with the contraindication. There is no contraindication for them, and not for the GLP-1 as general. Actually, we didn't see any significant results with those with decompensated cirrhosis. Yes, we do see the importance within even those with compensated childhood cirrhosis. Maybe Mughir?
And the risk of hepatorenal syndrome, does it increase with it?
No, we didn't see that. Actually, those patients within the hospitalization setting, usually they are with on the insulin rather than the others.
Thank you for the last lectures. Everybody was amazing. Do you think that in your studies, where you see that medications reduce the fibrosis, it's very hard to digest for a pathologist, by the way. Don't you think that it might be not decreasing the fibrosis that already happened, but on the contrary, it's like a new regeneration of new liver tissue? When we look at the biopsy, we see more of the regenerated tissue. Because in your samples, where I see after the medications on the rats, I noticed like signs of premature cells that were replacing the already fibrosed one. So is it really improving of the fibrosis or new regeneration of new liver tissue?
It is altogether it is actually regeneration, it is clearance. I'm working with the phagocytosis of those activated stellate cells, for example, by the immune cells and others. So it is an orchestra of sequence rather than only one.
والله بس عشان راسك حاضر ولكن. Last question, please.
Speaking about diabetes and aggressive disease, and we knew very early the complication is there. My question, and to confirm, why not, especially we have this misleading pre-diabetes from the beginning with our patients to treat aggressively to prevent reaching the catastrophes which we see now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very good point, and yeah. So I thought I tried to make that by showing you, if you look at the decline in beta cell function, it's completely linear, starting within the range of normal glucose tolerance to prediabetes to diabetes. So there's no clear-cut endpoint, and the longer you wait to treat, the more severe the complications are going to be. So personally, I think that prediabetes is a very bad term, and that we really need to readdress the criteria for making the diagnosis of diabetes. And in my opinion, the cut point is really too high, whether we're using blood glucose values or whether we're using A1C values. So Mohammed and I have published extensively with the OHDT. If your 1 hour value is greater than 150, you're at very high risk for developing diabetes. So that's a simple way of moving things up. I think probably an A1C value closer to 6 or lower 6 is probably more appropriate for making the diagnosis of diabetes, but this is a very controversial topic because it has public health implications. And if you lower the A1C from 6.5 down to 6, now you have a whole lot, millions more diabetic patients, and if you make the diagnosis, you should treat them. The pharmaceutical companies would love you because they need more drugs, but who's going to pay for all of this? So there are no simple sort of solutions to this, but I think pathophysiologically, the numbers should be much lower.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, our dear lecturers. Thank for the audience. Just 1 minute for distribution of gifts.
احنا حابين نشكركم كثير للبروفيسورية اللي معنا والدكاترة، وحابين نكرمكم مع البروفيسور رال. فتفضل دكتور مغير.
Yes.
دكتور بروفيسور رفعت الصفدي. دكتورة ريبغونت. حكيتها صح. ريبغونت.
I'm not. Okay.
Thank you very much. Coffee break, please.